I'm Patrick. I've had T1D for 13 years.
I'm Tommy, and I've had T1D for 7 years.
I'm Joe. I've had T1D for 30 years.
I'm Marisue, and this is our story. People from the outside, we look like such a normal family. I don't think people realize what we go through on a daily basis.
I was diagnosed in college. Went to the doctor and got a diagnosis, and I was telling people, and people started to interact with me as if I was handicapped. I didn't want to be limited or treated that way, and I was going to do whatever I had to not let anybody see it. I'd been involved corporately with the JDRF walkathon. I'd still been in the process of sort of hiding that I had T1 and not talking to people about it. And about 2 weeks after that, Patrick was diagnosed.
When Patrick was diagnosed, I'm realizing that I didn't know nearly as much about the disease as I thought I did. Patrick was 9. He was a little kid. It's not like you have weeks to figure it out. This all had to work in his life, and it was a lot.
Growing up, when it was somebody's birthday, I wouldn't really look at those cupcakes and see a cupcake. I'd see a finger stick and 45 carbs and insulin, and I think that's a lot to put on a kid.
We came home that first night from being at the Children's Hospital, and I was putting him to bed that night, and he said to me, why am I defective? Why do I have all these problems and my brother doesn't? And there was no good answer to give him. And I comforted him and did the best I could, and he went to sleep. And then the next morning he came down for breakfast, and he came down and he was wearing the walkathon t-shirt from 2 weeks before. And he was happy, and he was smiling, and he was bouncing, and Patrick was back.
The instant we knew Tommy was diabetic, I knew exactly how his life was going to change. And I think it was about the third day after Tommy was diagnosed, and a friend called me, and as soon as I said hello, I just completely lost it. Once again, another one of my children had to deal with this disease.
When Tommy was diagnosed, the endocrinologist was quickly telling us, we need to take him out of school for a couple of days, and we needed to make a stop in the hospital, and we didn't even jump in. Tommy said, that doesn't work. I got a basketball game tonight. Just give me the stuff, tell me how to work it, and we're going in. We picked up Patrick from school, and Tommy said, hey, guess what? I'm a diabetic.
I perhaps could have brought it up a little bit differently.
Patrick struggled with it.
Not exactly the best way to tell someone you've just been diagnosed with a lifelong chronic disease.
I think it was both, sadness at the weight of what he was being forced to take on, and getting a picture of what I had taken on years before.
After Tommy's diagnosis, he was coping with it so well, and we kept thinking, when is the other shoe going to drop? And it was a couple weeks in. He said, I'm sick of these shots. I don't want to take a shot, so I'm not coming down for dinner. And Patrick looked at me and he said, I'll handle it. And he went upstairs, and Tommy came down to dinner, and he gave himself a shot, and we never heard that again. It was a turning point for Patrick accepting Tommy's diagnosis, and for Tommy to realize the gravity of it.
Mom is definitely the biggest emotional support. We go to her when it kind of gets overwhelming. She knows how to calm us down and kind of help us work through how we're feeling and what we're feeling.
There's no way I could have made it all the way through growing up with diabetes if I didn't have two parents who were 100% behind me.
The three of them handle it with such grace. They are my heroes. They always have been, and I think about what they do every day, and it just blows my mind. Sometimes you can feel so helpless. This disease is going to control all of your life in so many ways, and being part of the changes makes you feel like you're doing something. And we vowed from the day that Patrick walked down the stairs in the JDRF t-shirt that we were going to always fight and do everything we possibly could to make the cure happen.
I think we're all optimistic and hopeful. There's a crummy reality we deal with every day, and in the near term, we're not gonna be able to stop dealing with that. But the boys bring out a hope. They see a future. They see a world without type 1, and they've seen it, both of them, since the day they were diagnosed.
Every time I walk into a room with several thousand people supporting that cure, it's a reminder, and a big reminder, that we're going to get there.
When I think to today, having the opportunity to use an artificial pancreas where that continuous glucose monitor can talk to the insulin pump and help make some of those decisions, all of those advances have come from research that JDRF has sponsored and funded and innovated and helped drive into the marketplace. It brings hope, and it brings a view for a world without type 1.
Asking our family and our friends to support us year after year and to support JDRF is so hard, but we have to do it. We have to do it for our kids. We have to do it so that this disease stops, so that someday no one else has to suffer with this.
I like to think that I taught the boys that alone diabetes doesn't have to beat you. What they taught me is that together we can beat diabetes.